Attract love, attract your crush instantly. Very powerful love frequency. Telepathy is real. There is a moment when you must stop asking, will they ever notice me? Will they ever think about me? Will they ever feel the same way? And begin changing the story you are repeating within yourself. Because every time you place your happiness in the hands of another person, you unconsciously enter the state of waiting, longing, and chasing. But love does not begin with chasing. It begins with a shift inside you. Tonight, take a deep breath and let yourself release the old story. The story that says you are not enough, that love is difficult, that your crush is distant, or that you must struggle to be chosen. You are about to step into a different frequency, the frequency of love, confidence, peace, and emotional certainty. Imagine for a moment what it would feel like to be genuinely loved, not desperately waiting for a message, not checking your phone every few minutes, not analyzing every word, every silence, and every sign. Just feeling calm, feeling wanted, feeling secure, feeling the warmth of knowing that love can enter your life naturally and beautifully. That feeling matters because your inner world influences how you see yourself, how you behave, what you expect, and what kind of relationships you allow into your life. When you repeatedly return to feelings of worthiness and love, you begin changing the relationship you have with yourself, and that can transform the energy you bring into every connection. So if there is someone special on your mind, do not begin with fear. Do not begin by trying to force, control, or manipulate what another person thinks or feels. Begin with yourself. Close your eyes, let the noise disappear. Allow yourself to imagine a beautiful mutual connection filled with affection, respect, laughter, warmth, and honesty. Hear the words you would love to hear. Feel the joy of being appreciated. Feel the peace of knowing that you do not have to chase love because you are becoming emotionally available for it. Some people call it energy. Some call it intention. Some call it the power of imagination. And some interpret strange synchronicities and deep emotional connections as telepathy. While telepathy has not been scientifically established as a reliable form of communication, one thing is undeniable. Our thoughts and emotions can deeply shape our own experiences, perceptions, confidence, and behavior. The story you repeatedly tell yourself becomes the lens through which you approach love. So why continue telling yourself a story of rejection when you can begin practicing a story of confidence, openness, and possibility? Let this be your moment. Let this be the moment you stop identifying as the person who is waiting to be loved and begin becoming the person who knows love is possible. You do not need to force the universe. You do not need to chase another human being. You do not need to lose yourself trying to make someone choose you. Instead, become so connected to your own worth that you naturally expect relationships built on mutual desire and genuine affection. As you listen to these words, let your body relax. Let your heart become lighter. Release the need to know exactly how, when, or through whom love will arrive. Your task is not to control another person's mind. Your task is to become clear about the love you desire and to align your own thoughts, emotions, and actions with a healthy reciprocal relationship. Say quietly within yourself, I am worthy of love. I am worthy of being chosen freely. I release fear, desperation, and doubt. I welcome mutual affection, honest communication, and a beautiful connection. And now, as you enter this powerful journey, leave the old story behind. Open your heart. Raise your expectations. Imagine the love you desire, but most importantly, remember who you are while you wait for nothing, and become everything you once believed you needed someone else to give you. The frequency begins within you, and this moment may be the beginning of a completely new love story. The love you desire begins with the relationship you create within yourself. Before you focus on whether your crush is thinking about you, whether they will message you, or whether they secretly feel the same way, take a moment to look inward. What are you repeatedly telling yourself about love? Are you constantly saying, they probably do not want me, I am always rejected, love never works out for me, or I have to do something to make them choose me? If those thoughts have become familiar, then the first transformation begins by changing the inner story. You cannot build a peaceful experience of love while constantly feeding your mind fear, desperation, and self-doubt. Instead, begin becoming familiar with a different emotional state, the feeling of being worthy, appreciated, desired, respected, and loved in a healthy and mutual way. This is what it means to become the frequency of the love you want. It is not about forcing another person to feel something against their will. It is about changing the emotional atmosphere within you so that you stop approaching love from fear and begin approaching it from confidence and openness. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine how the version of you who feels deeply loved would think. Would that version of you spend every hour checking their phone? Would they panic because someone took too long to reply? Would they search for hidden meaning in every message or convince themselves that silence automatically means rejection? Probably not. A person who feels secure in love carries themselves differently. They understand that their value does not disappear because someone is temporarily distant. They know that they do not have to chase attention to prove they are worthy of receiving it. They can desire a specific connection while still remaining connected to themselves. This is the inner shift that can change everything. Begin practicing the feeling of emotional security now, rather than waiting for another person to give you permission to feel it. You may think, but what if my crush does not feel the same way? Release the need to answer every question before you allow yourself to feel peaceful. You do not have to know exactly what will happen tomorrow to choose a better inner state today. Let your desire remind you of the kind of love you want, but do not allow that desire to become a reason to abandon yourself. Imagine a relationship where affection flows naturally, communication feels easy, and both people freely choose to participate. Feel the warmth of being seen and appreciated. Let yourself become emotionally familiar with mutual love instead of constantly rehearsing rejection. Some people speak about love frequencies, energy, and telepathic connection as ways of describing deep emotional focus or synchronicity. Whether you see these ideas spiritually or symbolically, the most important power remains your own state of mind. The thoughts you repeat influence your emotions, expectations, decisions, and behavior. When you repeatedly tell yourself that you are unwanted, you may become anxious and reactive. But when you begin reminding yourself that you are worthy of genuine love, you create more room for confidence, patience, and healthy boundaries. So today, stop trying to become someone worthy of being loved. You already possess worth. Instead, practice remembering it. Walk through your day with the quiet assumption that love is possible for you. Speak to yourself with kindness. Take care of your heart. Imagine beautiful possibilities without becoming obsessed with controlling the outcome. Let go of the old identity that constantly asks to be chosen, and begin becoming the person who knows that mutual, healthy love is something they can welcome. Your greatest transformation does not begin when someone finally sends the message you have been waiting for. It begins when you no longer need that message to believe that you are valuable. Become the love you want to experience. Become calm where you once panicked. Become confident where you once doubted. And let every thought remind you that you are worthy of a love that is freely given, deeply felt, and beautifully mutual. One of the most powerful changes you can make when it comes to love is to release the feeling that you must chase someone in order to be chosen. Chasing does not always mean physically running after a person. Sometimes chasing happens silently in the mind. It happens when you wake up and immediately wonder if they thought about you. It happens when you check your phone repeatedly, replay old conversations, search for hidden meanings in their social media posts, and allow every small action, or lack of action, to determine your mood. Your entire emotional world begins revolving around one question: what are they going to do next? But the moment you constantly focus on what another person is doing, you can slowly lose connection with yourself. You forget that love should not require you to abandon your peace, your confidence, or your identity. This is why releasing the feeling of chasing is so important. It is not about pretending that you do not care. It is not about suppressing your feelings or becoming cold. It is about caring deeply without losing yourself in the process. Think about the difference between desire and desperation. Desire says, I would love to experience this connection. Desperation says, I cannot be happy unless this person gives me what I want. Desire allows you to imagine beautiful possibilities while remaining grounded in yourself. Desperation places another person in control of your emotional state. When they are attentive, you feel wonderful. When they are distant, you feel anxious. When they respond quickly, you feel hopeful. When they take longer, you begin imagining rejection. This emotional roller coaster can become exhausting. So today, give yourself permission to step off it. Stop allowing every notification, every silence, and every imagined sign to decide how valuable you feel. Instead, return to yourself. Ask, what would I be thinking if I already felt secure? How would I move through my day if I trusted that I was worthy of healthy mutual love? Perhaps you would spend less time waiting and more time living. You would enjoy your life, take care of your goals, laugh with the people you love, and allow your connection with your crush to unfold without trying to force every moment. This does not mean that love will always happen exactly as you imagine, or that you can control another person's feelings. It means you are choosing not to sacrifice your emotional well-being while waiting for an outcome. There is a quiet power in no longer needing to prove yourself. You do not have to send endless messages to make someone remember you. You do not have to perform a different version of yourself to become more desirable. You do not have to analyze every detail in order to predict the future. Let your communication be honest. Let your interest be genuine, but also allow space for reciprocity. Healthy love involves two people who are free to show interest, communicate, and participate in the connection. The right kind of affection should not require you to constantly beg for clarity or chase basic respect. This is where your inner frequency begins to change. When you stop mentally chasing, your attention returns to the one person whose thoughts and actions you can truly influence, yourself. You begin choosing calmer thoughts. Instead of saying, why are they ignoring me? You can say, I do not know the whole story, and I will not create pain by assuming the worst. Instead of saying, I need them to choose me, you can say, I welcome love that is freely and mutually chosen. Instead of obsessing over when something will happen, you can return to the present moment and continue building a life you genuinely enjoy. Let this be your new practice. I can desire love without chasing it. I can care for someone without losing myself. I can hope for a beautiful connection while respecting another person's freedom and protecting my own peace. The more you release desperation, the more space you create for clarity, and clarity allows you to recognize what is truly mutual. So breathe deeply, put down the need to force the outcome, and remember this. You do not become more lovable by chasing harder. Your worth was never something another person had the power to create or destroy. Your imagination is one of the most powerful places you can begin changing your relationship with love. Long before anything becomes visible in your outer world, you are often already living with an inner story about what you expect. If your mind constantly repeats scenes of rejection, distance, unanswered messages, or disappointment, your emotions can begin responding as though those fears are already facts. You may replay old conversations and imagine what could go wrong. You may picture your crush losing interest before anything has even happened. You may create painful endings inside your mind and then wonder why you feel anxious, insecure, or afraid to express yourself. But what if you chose a different inner story? What if, instead of constantly rehearsing the experience you fear, you began gently imagining the kind of loving, healthy, and mutual connection you truly desire? This is where the power of imagination can become a beautiful practice, not as a way to control another person's mind, but as a way to transform your own expectations, emotions, and relationship with possibility. Take a quiet moment and allow yourself to imagine a simple scene that represents love to you. Perhaps you imagine sitting beside someone and feeling completely comfortable. Perhaps you hear kind words spoken with sincerity. Perhaps you imagine laughter, a meaningful conversation, or the feeling of being appreciated for exactly who you are. Do not make the scene complicated. The power is often found in simplicity. Let yourself feel the emotional meaning behind the scene. What would it feel like to experience affection without fear? What would it feel like to know that communication can be natural? What would it feel like to be in a connection where both people are free to care, express themselves, and enjoy each other's presence? Stay with that feeling for a few moments. The purpose of this practice is not to become disconnected from reality or to convince yourself that another person has no freedom or choice. Healthy love cannot be built through mental control. Your crush is a human being with their own feelings, boundaries, and decisions. But your imagination can still influence something extremely important: you. It can help you become familiar with the emotional experience of confidence rather than fear, possibility rather than hopelessness, and connection rather than constant rejection. The story you tell yourself affects how you approach conversations, how you interpret situations, and whether you allow yourself to be open or close your heart before love has even had a chance. Many people become trapped in an inner cycle where they want love but mentally expect pain. They say they desire closeness, while secretly believing that everyone eventually leaves. They want someone to notice them, while repeatedly telling themselves that they are not attractive enough, interesting enough, or worthy enough. This creates an exhausting conflict within. So begin paying attention to the conversations happening inside your own mind. When fear appears, you do not need to fight it or pretend it does not exist. Simply choose not to build a permanent home there. Gently redirect yourself toward a more compassionate thought. Instead of "nobody will ever choose me," try "I am open to being loved and appreciated." Instead of "this will never happen," try "I do not know what is possible, and I do not need to assume the worst." Your imagination becomes especially powerful when it is combined with emotional calm. You do not need to visualize for hours or repeat the same scene until you become exhausted. A few peaceful moments can be enough to remind your mind of a new possibility. Close your eyes before sleep and imagine yourself feeling loved, secure, and happy. Hear words that represent kindness and mutual affection. Feel yourself smiling, then release the scene. Do not spend the rest of the night desperately asking when it will happen. Let the feeling of love become something you can experience within yourself right now. The most beautiful inner story is not, "I must make this one person love me." It is, "I am worthy of experiencing love that is freely given, deeply felt, and mutually chosen." Hold your desired connection with warmth, but hold yourself with even greater care. Imagine love, welcome possibility, and allow real relationships to unfold through honesty, communication, consent, and mutual interest. When your inner world stops constantly predicting rejection, you create more space for confidence and openness. So tonight, choose a new scene, choose a new feeling, choose a new story, and let the story you repeatedly tell yourself be one in which you are not chasing, beg. There are moments in life when a person suddenly enters your mind without warning. You may be doing something completely ordinary when, out of nowhere, you remember their voice, their smile, a conversation you once shared, or a feeling connected to them. Sometimes, shortly afterward, they contact you, mention something similar, or you experience a coincidence that feels strangely meaningful. Experiences like these lead many people to believe in telepathy, energetic communication, or an invisible connection between two people. While telepathy has not been scientifically established as a reliable way to send messages or control another person's thoughts, these experiences can still feel deeply personal and emotionally powerful. The most important thing is to approach them with curiosity rather than fear, and with love rather than the desire to control. Instead of becoming obsessed with trying to force someone to think about you, you can use your focus and imagination to understand your own feelings and create a calmer, more loving state within yourself. When you care deeply about someone, your mind naturally becomes more sensitive to memories and patterns connected with that person. You may notice coincidences more easily because they already hold emotional importance to you. A song may remind you of them. A certain place may bring back a memory. Their name may suddenly appear somewhere, and you may wonder if it is a sign. You are free to find personal meaning in these experiences, but you do not need to turn every coincidence into proof that you must act, wait, or sacrifice your peace. A healthy connection does not require constant decoding. You can appreciate a meaningful moment while staying grounded in reality and respecting both your feelings and the other person's freedom. This is where the idea of a love frequency can become useful as a personal practice. Think of your frequency as the emotional atmosphere you repeatedly return to. Are you constantly broadcasting fear within your own mind? Are your thoughts filled with, why are they not texting me? Who are they talking to? What if they forget me? What if I lose them? These thoughts can create anxiety and make you feel disconnected from your own center. But when you slow down and consciously return to feelings of peace, confidence, kindness, and self-respect, your entire experience begins to change. You may communicate more naturally. You may become less reactive. You may be better able to recognize whether interest is genuinely mutual. In this sense, the most powerful message you can send is not one designed to invade another person's thoughts. It is the message you send through your own presence, words, actions, and emotional energy. Imagine for a moment that you could send one message from your heart, not to control, pressure, or manipulate, but simply as an expression of peaceful intention. What would that message be? Perhaps it would say, I wish you happiness. Perhaps it would say, I appreciate the connection we share. Perhaps it would simply be a feeling of warmth, gratitude, and openness. Sit quietly with that feeling. Breathe deeply. Let your mind become still. If thinking about your crush brings up anxiety, do not force yourself to continue visualizing. Return to yourself. Remind yourself that real love does not require you to suffer mentally in order to prove that your feelings are deep. The truth is, connection is strongest when it is supported by honesty and mutual participation. Thoughts alone cannot replace communication, respect, consent, and genuine interest. If a relationship is meant to grow, healthy interaction in the real world matters. A conversation, a kind message, a shared laugh, or an honest expression of interest can tell you far more than endless attempts to decode invisible signals. So let your inner practice prepare you for love rather than replace real connection. Tonight, allow yourself to release the need to know what is happening inside another person's mind. You do not need to chase every sign or search for proof that they are thinking about you. Instead, become deeply aware of your own heart. Choose peace over obsession. Choose confidence over fear. Choose genuine connection over fantasy alone. If you experience a coincidence that feels meaningful, receive it with gratitude, but remain grounded. Let love be something that expands your life rather than consumes it. Your most powerful frequency is not desperation. It is calm confidence, self-respect, openness, and the willingness to welcome a connection that is freely and mutually chosen. The final and perhaps most important shift in attracting love is learning to live as someone who expects healthy, mutual, and genuine affection. This does not mean walking through life believing that every person you desire must automatically become yours. It means something far more powerful. You stop expecting rejection as your natural destiny. You stop assuming that love must always involve confusion, chasing, emotional pain, or uncertainty. You begin creating a new relationship with yourself and with the idea of love itself. For many people, the greatest obstacle is not the absence of opportunity, but the story they have repeatedly accepted about what they deserve. If you secretly believe that you are difficult to love, that people always leave, or that you must work endlessly to keep someone's attention, then those beliefs can influence the way you approach every connection. You may tolerate less than you deserve, become anxious when someone shows interest, or constantly look for evidence that something will go wrong. But today, you can begin choosing a different expectation. You can become the person who believes that love can be peaceful, reciprocal, honest, and freely given. Imagine waking up each day without the constant need to wonder whether you are enough. Imagine looking at your phone without allowing a message, or the absence of one, to control your entire mood. Imagine caring about someone deeply while still remembering your own dreams, your own identity, and your own life. That is emotional freedom. That is the state you want to cultivate. When you live as someone who expects healthy love, you no longer feel compelled to chase what continuously runs away from you. Instead, you become more aware of reciprocity. You notice who makes an effort, who communicates clearly, who respects your boundaries, and who genuinely wants to participate in the relationship. You stop confusing emotional intensity with real love. You begin understanding that a connection can be exciting without being destructive and passionate, without requiring constant anxiety. If you have a crush, it is completely natural to hope that the connection will grow. Allow yourself to enjoy that possibility. Imagine positive conversations. Feel confident in your ability to express yourself. But remember that the healthiest form of attraction leaves room for another person's freedom. You do not need to control their thoughts, force a particular outcome, or spend every moment searching for signs. Real connection becomes meaningful when two people can freely choose to move toward each other. Your inner work is not about taking away someone's choice. It is about becoming emotionally prepared to recognize and welcome love when it is mutual. Begin asking yourself a powerful question. What would I do differently today if I already believed I was worthy of a beautiful relationship? Perhaps you would stop comparing yourself to other people. Perhaps you would take better care of yourself. Perhaps you would communicate more honestly instead of hiding behind fear. Perhaps you would stop accepting mixed signals as the only form of affection available to you. Perhaps you would finally give yourself permission to walk away from situations that repeatedly make you feel small. This is what happens when self-worth becomes stronger than the fear of losing someone. You do not have to become perfect before love can enter your life. You do not need to have every insecurity healed or every question answered. You simply need to stop abandoning yourself in the process of seeking another person. Love should add to your life, not erase you from it. Continue building your dreams. Continue becoming the person you are proud to be. Let your attraction towards someone inspire you, but do not let it become the only source of meaning in your world. So from this moment forward, practice living from a new expectation. Tell yourself, I am open to love that is honest, peaceful, passionate, and mutual. I do not need to chase what is meant to be freely chosen. I respect my own heart, and I respect the freedom of others. I welcome relationships where effort, affection, and communication flow in both directions. Let this become your new inner story. Walk with confidence, love with openness, release the need to control every outcome. And remember, the greatest love frequency you can embody is not obsession, fear, or desperation. It is self-respect, emotional peace, and the quiet confidence that you are worthy of being loved for who you truly are.